There is a major pool tournament held each year in Moscow. It's called the Kremlin Cup. Last year it was attended by Shane Van Boening, Tyler Steyer, David Al-Qaedi, Corey Deuel, Fedor Gorst and others. But Kremlin Cup is actually several tournaments held in one place simultaneously. One in pool and two in Russian pyramid disciplines. Of all top pool players, only Corey Deuel decided to give pyramid a try. It is likely that the only practice he had on a pyramid table is something like 15 minutes before the game. Actually, I was surprised that he used the true pyramid cue and not the pool one. Of course, nobody really expected him to be on par with top Russian players, but in this particular game he was facing Vlad Yanovsky, who at that time could be considered an amateur player. And this makes things far more interesting, promising an even game. In this match they are playing combined pyramid. Rules are following. Only colored ball can be used as a cue ball, pocketing object ball gives you 1 point, pocketing cue ball also gives you 1 point. First to get 8 points wins the frame, and the match is run to 4. A good question is what happens to the cue ball if it is spotted. In this case it is re-spotted in the house and the player has ball in hand, and instead player takes one white ball off the table. Also pay attention to the safety rules. For the safety shot to be considered valid, two balls must touch the rail after collision. If the ball crosses the center line, it is equivalent of rail contact. We'll later see several fouls related to safety shots in this game. In case of a foul, opponent gets 1 point and takes one white ball off the table. Combined pyramid is not only very difficult but slow and somewhat boring game, and soon you'll see what I'm talking about. Although having a single cue ball on the table might make you think that this game is similar to 8-ball, it is certainly not. In many positions it's just impossible to attack any pocket, so safety is played. Many frames feature more than 50 safety shots. But safeties will come later, and now let's focus on the game and see what difficulties a top pool player might face when playing the pyramid for the first time. If you look closely at the pool matches, most of the time top players spot the ball right into the center of the pocket, so it can be said that their accuracy is more than enough to pot the ball in a super tight pyramid pocket. But while in pool the pocket is basically a hole in the rail, and if you send the ball into it, it will certainly go in pyramid somehow this doesn't work. If you want to pocket the ball on a pyramid table without touching the jaws, it is only possible from a very narrow angle of about 5 degrees. From all other angles, basically only part of the pocket is seen. So no matter how accurate you are, the ball will touch the jaw and might get stuck if it's moving too slowly. To pocket the ball into the corner pocket from a sharp angle, you need to slam at it, so it will continue moving after hitting the jaw. The difficulty of the table mostly depends not on how tight the pockets are, but on how easy the cushion can be compressed and how deep the slate goes into the pocket. This dictates from which angles the ball can be pocketed on a particular table and from which it's just impossible. The blue sectors here show what's possible, but if the ball is on the edge of the sector, it will require much power and perfect accuracy to pocket it. In some particular cases, even ball outside this blue sector can be pocketed, but it's quite a rare occasion. So first thing a pool player should do is try to get to know these sectors and not attempt absolutely impossible shots. Another aspect that might be difficult for a pool player at first is pure psychology in trying to pocket the cue ball. What is considered a foul in pool, in pyramid is basically the only way to pocket most balls in difficult positions. Many pool players have extraordinary cue ball control, but they are just not used to sending it into the tight pocket. Now the third problem for a pool player is adjusting to the hit power in pyramid. The ball has twice the mass of a pool ball and cue is also 50% heavier and 10 cm longer. Fun fact is that few players actually like long cues, but there just aren't any shorter cues around. But let's get back to the game. After about 5 minutes in frame 1, we see only 2 pocketed balls so far. Corey Deuel managed to score 2 easy shots, but now we see a typical situation in combined pyramid when there are just 0 options to play. Absolutely every combined pyramid match is mostly a safety battle. Players are basically forced to play safeties. Most safety shots in this game follow a similar pattern. All the white balls are on the one side of the table and cue ball is placed on the other side, basically touching the cushion. The idea is to carom the cue ball off the white ball and return it back. This basically leaves the position unchanged. This can go on for quite some time, until one of the players plays imperfect safety and leaves the ball just half diameter off the cushion. In some situations this is enough to attack the pocket, but the shot is usually extremely difficult. On the other hand, if you miss, it's likely that there won't be any options for your opponent either. So combined pyramid is a mix of insanely difficult shots and never-ending series of safeties. When top players play this game, a frame might take something like 20 to 30 minutes. But when amateur level players play it, it goes on forever and frame can easily take 40 to 60 minutes and even more. Although it is likely the most technically demanding of all pyramid games, surprisingly, combined pyramid is far more popular than free pyramid, which is way easier. Meanwhile, Corey Deuel gets an easy shot and it's 4-0 in first frame. But after missing this carom, he leaves an easy position for Janowski. Janowski pockets the cue ball, and now he can take any white ball off the table, and he has ball in hand from the house. In combined pyramid, pocketing the object ball is not that important, because usually it provides no follow-up. Pocketing the cue ball, however, is paramount. Since player has ball in hand, he can set up the shot and pocket it again and again and again. There are numerous cases of top players running out by pocketing 8 consequent caroms over 15 feet of distance each. It may sound insane, but most combined pyramid players spend much time practicing long caroms like this one by Deuel. He actually does a very good job on this shot. Janowski attempts a very difficult carom, misses, but leaves no easy options for Deuel. Notice how Corey puts his left hand on the pocket. The table construction differs a lot from the pool table, and shots from the pocket are quite uncomfortable. An awesome shot, but out of luck. You may wonder how the cue ball got stuck in this case. Usually, if the ball misses the pocket by 1 cm or less, it hits the side of the pocket, wobbles and stays inside. In free pyramid, it's the worst situation that can happen to a player after a miss. Since in free pyramid any ball can be used as a cue ball, the ball that got stuck will be used as an object ball on the next shot. But in combined pyramid it's far less of a problem. Deliberately getting the cue ball stuck inside the pocket is a popular defensive tactic. First you might get lucky and the ball will just fall in, but even if not, it leaves difficult position for your opponent. This is why there are lots of semi-safety shots in combined pyramid. Players just send the cue ball in the direction of the pocket, not really expecting it to fall in. But after some 20 to 30 attempts, you may get lucky and one ball may go in. Here's an example of such semi-safety shots from Corey Deuel. This carom was impossible, but who knows? This next shot from Janowski is quite standard. Although quite difficult, it can be pocketed consistently. As you can see, after his miss, many balls moved, but no options appeared for Deuel. So he just attempts another long carom. If no options available, just play standard safety like Janowski does. In Russian, this safety shot is called something like return, meaning return the cue ball back to its position. Deuel, however, finds a very thin carom, and surprisingly it goes in. Ball in hand. Many players playing ball in hand try to set up a very long straight shot. The ability to set up the shot is very important in this game. Janowski plays a very long carom and out of luck. But notice there are still no easy options for Deuel on the next shot. So he just plays another one of those semi-safety shots, sending the ball in the direction of the pocket, not expecting anything. Although the object ball is outside the blue sector here, it can be pocketed using enormous force. But the next one, not so much. Another safety from Deuel, and it's currently 5-5 in frame 1. Next, Janowski attempts what seems to be an impossible shot, and leaves an almost straight shot for Deuel, but one which should be played with the left hand. Many top pyramid players are actually quite comfortable with playing these shots with left hand. Janowski makes a mistake playing safety and leaves an easy room for Deuel. And we have another ball in hand. The next shot is obvious for every pyramid player. Deuel performs it nicely and has another ball in hand. This is how you are expected to run out in this game. But this carom is very difficult and not expected to go in, so it's another semi-safety shot. Janowski plays standard return safety. Deuel plays some complex safety, which is a bit difficult to judge if it went according to the plan or not. Janowski attempts a difficult carom and misses. And Deuel finishes the frame with an easy straight shot. In frame 2 it's Deuel's turn to break. He does surprisingly good. It looked like the cue ball went straight in and then jumped out of the pocket. I guess the miss was by about 1 cm there. It looks like the object ball can be played to the center pocket here, but it was on the edge of the blue sector. Not many options for Janowski, so it's just another safety. Deuel makes an insane attempt, but it's actually a snooker. Whatever ball's position would be, they are all blocked by the close ones. You can see that almost every safety shot is a semi-safety with at least a slight attempt to pocket something. I guess this is the most fun part in this game. You may attempt some impossible shots without fearing the consequences all that much. Well, at least if you are facing an amateur player. So, after several safeties, Janowski accidentally sends the white ball close to the left corner pocket. But no need to hold breath. Real shots are impossible on the pyramid tables. Notice that although white ball was left very close to the corner pocket, it's absolutely impossible to pocket it. And now pay attention to the white ball near the right center pocket. Corey couldn't use it on a previous shot because it would be a difficult 90-degree carom. But Janowski had a far better position and managed to pocket the first ball in this frame. And now the second one. A position you see now is typical, and top players use ball in hand to pocket several caroms in a row. But one tiny mistake ends the series here. And we're off to another bunch of safeties. The main problem with the combined pyramid is that there isn't much you can do with safety shots. While in pool and snooker there's always some strategy involved, in pyramid many safety shots can be characterized as meaningless or random. It is especially tough when only a few balls are left on the table. In the local pool halls there are numerous examples when players have only 2 balls on the table and they play safeties for well over 1 hour. And here's finally some interesting stuff. Janowski called foul on Deuel's safety. I am no expert in rules, but I haven't noticed anything suspicious about this shot. For a safety shot to be correct, both balls must touch the cushions after collision, or one ball must touch the cushion and another one must roll over the center line. Players simply call these rules rail-rail or rail-roll. There were, however, numerous experiments with safety rules. For example, guys tried to introduce a free rail rule, meaning free rail contacts necessary after ball's collision. But even this rule was considered too easy because such safety shot can be performed on one half of the table. So the only widely accepted alternative to the classic safety rules are buffalo safety rules. They state that after ball's collision, 2 rail contacts must be made and 1 ball must roll over the center line, the line connecting 2 center pockets. But buffalo rules are rarely used, and I guess in this case Janowski just got confused with which rule set was in place. Actually, he called several more fouls on Corey later in this match. Upon each foul, opponent gets 1 point and takes 1 white ball off the table. So now it's 4-0 in frame 2. This long carom by Deuel would actually be shot of medium difficulty if not for the cue ball position. Notice how on this and the next shot object balls stayed outside the blue sector, but cue ball's trajectory was inside the blue sector all the time. When attempting caroms on such tight pockets, it's important to keep the entry angle as straight as possible. This can be achieved by arcing the cue ball trajectory a bit using spins. On longer distances, cue ball naturally develops top spin while rolling. It plays an important role in the 30-degree rule. Cue ball will only be deflected by 30 degrees after a half ball hit if it rolls with medium speed. If, however, the cue ball speed is too high, it will be deflected by a larger angle. So not only spin, but shot power can be used to control the cue ball trajectory as well. Next, Deuel misses a very short carom, but nearly pockets a fluke into the corner. Although the shot looked simple, it's quite easy to misjudge the angles at short distances. This is why the only type of elementary shot in pyramid is the one Deuel plays here. The ball got stuck in a pocket, so it will go in, but it's important to position the cue ball for the next shot. Corey gets a straight shot of about 4 feet, but straight shot in pyramid is not quite the same as straight shot in pool. The required accuracy is about 10 times higher and basically impossible to simulate on a pool table. Next, Janowski attempts a really insane shot. Does perfectly, but not enough energy transfer, so the ball doesn't go in. If he had hit it harder, he would definitely pot it. But increasing power while staying accurate is quite difficult, of course. The rule of thumb is that if you manage to miss a pocket by only 1/4 of ball diameter after a long distance shot, you did perfectly. It is impossible to pot everything in pyramid, so don't be too harsh on yourself. Next, Deuel attempts a very long carom and does surprisingly well. These shots doesn't require power since entry angle is ideal, but after a miss he leaves an easy position for Janowski and he has the ball in hand now. Vlad pockets another standard carom and it's the end of the frame 2. Originally this match took almost 4 hours, which is standard for combined pyramid and run to 4. Even after skipping all mid-shot routine, this video is still too long. So let's start speeding the playback a little and only stopping to see successful shots. After a couple of near misses, Janowski gets an easy shot to the center. And he pockets it Russian style with a very hard hit. But just 2 shots later, Corey gets an easy short carom. Actually, it's quite easy to miss one, but Corey does well. Although it seems that there are always numerous misses, if you calculate the shots, you'll see that usually 1 in 5 goes in. But on several occasions in this match we can see a series of 20 to 30 shots without single one going in. And you can see one of such unfortunate series here. There are no time limit for shots in most tournaments, but when producers try to bring Russian pyramid to television, they usually impose a 30-second limit. Professionals usually have no problems with it, but amateurs sometimes require a minute or 2. Many players prefer to take a walk around the table after each shot. It is very important to make a correct judgment of angles in this game, especially on the shots that look quite easy. And now finally Deuel pockets an amazing fluke in frame 3. But no follow-up. Janowski uses rest for the first time in this match. 12 feet table is quite large and has some unreachable zones. And now a very interesting shot by Deuel. The technique is called French carom. It's quite difficult and rarely used. It is a sort of a trick shot that allows you to pocket the ball along the rail, except that you pocket the cue ball instead of the object ball. In order to succeed, you need to put both top spin and side spin on the ball. The cue ball must reach the corner pocket, grip its side with a side spin and go in. But it's very likely to get stuck, so this technique is almost never used in free pyramid. Meanwhile, we have another 20-something misses in a row. Janowski calls another foul on Deuel on this shot. It finally seems that they are calling fouls based on the Buffalo rules, but I guess in this tournament they weren't used. They managed to get referee's attention later in this match, but it's unclear what his commentary was. And although Janowski called about 3 or 4 fouls in total, it doesn't seem that this affected the match result. Meanwhile, Deuel scores an insanely cool Karom arcing the trajectory here. And successfully ends the frame using ball in hand shot. Frame 4 starts with something really unexpected. Deuel performs a perfect break. The idea of a break shot in pyramid is not only to score the ball, but actually break the pyramid and spread the balls around to allow for follow-up. By now it should be obvious that although a single cue ball is used in this game, it's quite different from 8-ball or snooker. So far in this match we've only seen about 2 consecutive successful shots. And this is even without limitations 8-ball or snooker impose on players, where you can only hit solids or stripes or ball of certain color. In most local tournaments, matches in combined pyramid are run to 3 frames, but sometimes it's run to 5 or even run to 7. A run to 3 will take about 3 hours, a run to 5 about 5, and run to 7 most part of the day. If you don't give up early, it's quite difficult not to lose the concentration playing this long. At some moments even amateur level players temporarily give up and start just rolling balls around. And although it might be a nice pastime playing with your friends in the evening, as a sport it's quite tedious and demanding. By this time players are playing for about 2 hours already, and there are still multiple frames to go. Not much left to comment, so I'll just leave you to enjoy the game. If you've got any questions, feel free to post them in comments.